Hello and welcome to the latest live stream for F1 Mobile Racing. My name is Chris. I'm the community manager for the game. Normally, if you've joined us before here for live streams, I'll be joined by a colleague. But as you may have guessed, if you're following Codemasters activity, we're super busy right now. Loads going on with all of our games, from F1 2019 launch to Dirt Rally 2.0 to Grid coming very soon. So lots going on for all of us. But I wanted to sneak away quickly and chuck in a live stream for you guys to preview Update 6 for F1 Mobile Racing, which is coming very soon. So for those of you who are new to the game, as we always like to say at the beginning of these things, F1 Mobile Racing, it's a free-to-play official Formula 1 game from Codemasters. It's out now on iOS and Android. It's almost been out for a year now. We launched in October, fully launched in October last year. And it's been a hell of a ride since then. We've brought in new features, new content, all kinds of different things, and loads of stuff based on community feedback. And yeah, it's been a hell of a ride. And Update 6 is going to take us on even further. So it's really cool to show you guys what's coming in Update 6. And we're going to answer a few community questions as well that we asked for earlier in the week. All right, so let's get right into it. So I thought I'd begin the stream by showing off something that we actually brought in the previous update, which is this amazing golden car, which is super cool. So in case you didn't know, so in the game, if you are a VIP subscriber, so if you purchase the VIP subscription, there's a bunch of different perks and add-ons and benefits that you get to that, and one of those is being able to install gold paint onto your car. And if you install it on all three of the layers, it looks like this, which is pretty damn cool. Yeah, it looks brilliant. But we're going to move away from that, because one of the main additions that we're bringing in Update 6 is the inclusion of all of the official team chassis from the 2019 Formula 1 World Championship. So as you may have seen in Update 5, we brought the new liveries into the game, but we used the official regulations chassis that Codemasters had worked on with Formula 1. And we used that to add the liveries on top of that, so it was the same chassis for each car. Now in Update 6, once it arrives, you will have the official chassis for each team, so they're all slightly different. So let's take a look, let's run through them. So let's begin with Williams. So as you can see, there are some subtle differences, but that colour scheme remains, it's all just really chassis changes, and big F1 fans will be able to notice like the key differences. So you've got Williams there, Toro Rosso, of course, looking good with a blue finish. I've always been a big fan of the Toro Rosso liveries. I think they do a really good job with that. So you've got Toro Rosso and McLaren. So as you can see there's definitely differences in the front wing and the nose. You just immediately notice the differences. But McLaren looking very good after a strong performance in France over the weekend. Let's move on to the next. It's Alfa Romeo Racing. So as you can see again, especially where the nose begins to drop, you can see there's some differences in the chassis. Really like that red, chromish sort of red addition to the back of the Alfa Romeo car. It's definitely one of my favourite looking cars. I don't know about you, but yeah, it looks really good. Okay, so the racing points. So you can see the changes there, like the halo design as well, incorporating all the different sort of parts of the colour scheme. That looks really good. So that's racing points. We move on to the Rich Energy Haas team. As you can see, with brand new chassis, looking very nice. Let's move on to Renault, probably my favourite looking car of the bunch, to be honest. And the new chassis just emphasises that even more. Just gives it that extra bit of detail. It's really cool to see. It's like you sometimes, for someone who's like invested in the game, sometimes you don't even notice like just the amount of detail, amount of quality that's in this game for a mobile game. It's really tremendous, and the Renault design is a really good example of that. So there's the Renault. Moving up towards more the front of the grid now. So here is the Red Bull, the classic Red Bull colour scheme now that we're all very much used to, looking very nice. And let's move on to Scuderia Ferrari with their matte red finish for the season, with the new chassis now, looking very nice. Very nice indeed. And let's move on to the front runner at the moment, the Mercedes-AMG Petronas Motorsport car. So this one is actually extra cool. It must be said, because obviously we brought in the new chassis, so it looks really good. It's all up to spec and up to detail. But two key changes have been made to their livery since we launched Update 5 and we brought in the new livery. So we've added those as well, and of course they are dedications to Niki Lauda, who we lost quite recently. So if you zoom in towards the nose of the car, as you can see just above or just below the driver number, if you go a bit further down, you can see Nicky's signature there with the Danke Nicky phrase below it as well, which is part of the Mercedes livery for the season, which is a really nice touch. And what is also a really nice touch, if I could just zoom in on it here, so if you just look above the car name, Mercedes-AMG Petronas Motorsport, you can see the red Mercedes logo, the single red Mercedes logo that is a tribute to Niki Lauda, which is a lovely touch from them, and we're really, really glad we could bring that into the game as well with the Mercedes livery. So in a lot of ways, it's not just the chassis that we're updating, we've also made sure that the liveries are up to date, and in the case of Mercedes, it's been really nice to be able to add those tributes to Niki as well. So that's fantastic. So let's get into some races, of course. Let's get down to the action. So let's begin with the McLaren. I'm going to go with the McLaren. Select. And of course, as the Austrian Grand Prix is getting underway this weekend, the second of back-to-back race weekends, let's kick off. Let's focus this live stream on Austria. Sort of give us a preview of the race that's coming and the GP event, of course, that you can participate in over the weekend. So, Spielberg sprint race, 3 laps, medium difficulty. Let's give it a go. It shouldn't be too bad, should it? Touch wood. Cool. So let's jump into Spielberg in Austria. Again, so for those of you who are a little bit newer to the game, so I mentioned GP events there. So one thing that we really, really like about mobile racing is that one of the modes that we have is GP events, where at the same time as every real-world F1 race weekend, such as Austria this weekend or the France the weekend before, we run a live GP event at the same time, which includes multiple stages, which is qualifying and race, where all drivers can participate and they compete against each other to rank on a global leaderboard. And the higher you finish on that leaderboard, the more prizes you win, such as currency or visual rewards like helmets and liveries, exclusive ones. And like I said, you race against the world, which is really, really cool, and it's free to play, free to enter. And we've seen some really, really good feedback about GP events, and it's been going really, really well. The leaderboards are getting super competitive as well. It's really good to see. So one thing that we added in Update 5 was that we are now combining the scores of every GP event for players to basically add up to the season championship mode, where every GP event score that you record, that gets added to your overall total and placed on a global leaderboard that's the overall for the world. And at the mid-season point and at the end of the season, you'll receive rewards based on where you rank on that overall season championship leaderboard, which is really cool. And I mentioned the mid-season rewards there. That's something we'll go into a bit more detail about later on in the stream. For now, I better get my focus down because Lando Norris is just edging away from me here. We're all got a bit of a slide on, but recovered. Let's hit the DRS. Let's try and catch up to Lando Norris here, move up the grid. 15th and 14th, compared to what they were able to achieve at France over the weekend. That's no good at all. So let's move up the grid. Right, that is Norris passed. Let's try and keep ahead of him now as we move on up the grid. Long old straights here for Austria. It's all about finding those braking zones and keeping the power on for as long as possible. Let's try and move up. We've got George Russell ahead of us, so through past one Brit and onto another long straight here. Try and catch a braking point here around 100 metres, maybe just after. Got a bit early there. Let's keep it together. Let's pick our spot here. Let's not get too racy. Let's not ruin everybody's race here. Right. Keep it together through here. Try and put up a little bit of speed. Here we go. Nice drive out of that corner into the next left. Keep it together. Went a bit wide. Oh, I've spun it. Nearly spun it. It's more difficult than you think to talk and present and race at the same time, it seems. Right, okay, let's keep our head together. We've got another lap after this to recover. My objective now, I think, is to get back to Lando Norris and achieve, try and at least beat my teammate. That's the important thing for me now. Okay, so we're back past Cubits. Looks like Norris has managed to get past George Russell, so we need to get past Russell. Hit the DRS. Right, here we go. Catch the slipstream as well. Move alongside, nicely done. We might be able to catch Norris here as well. DRS is working wonders for us here. Hit the brakes. Keep it together. Don't overdo it. That is perfect. Right, let's see if we can catch any more. There's a lot of cars ahead of us here. A lot of action. Might be able to capitalise here. Yep, Stroll slowed down and clearly caught up in an incident. Move past. Here we go. Some issues there for the Red Bull and the cars behind us. Norris is keeping close behind us as well, so good progress for the McLarens. Right, let's keep it together. Chance here of some points maybe if we can get past Kevin Magnussen in P10. Double left-hander now. Keep it together. Don't slide the car. Very easy to slide the car around these two corners. You want to put the throttle down too early, but we've kept it together this time. Be a final corner job here, or we might catch him in the second to last corner. Should we have a go? Oh no. Magnussen kept his foot in it. Fair play. Good drive at the last corner, but can we reach him in time? DRS hit. Let's go. Let's do it. Yes! P10 on the line. Not too bad. Not too bad at all, considering I had a bit of a spin in the middle of the race as well. So, for a first race, and as I'm trying to talk to you guys and chat about the game and all of these things at the same time, not too bad. Don't be too harsh to me in the comments. Okay, so let's check my notes here. So I'm prepared. I've got notes and everything. So that's the first race down. So let's chat a bit more about Update 6 and what we're bringing into the game. So one of the things that we are beginning to implement with Update 6 is something really cool that we hope to bring out to lots more devices in the future, and that is haptic feedback. So if you don't know what haptic feedback is, it basically means, in this instance, a vibration for your device at certain times. So as I was competing in that race, if I went over a curb, or if I went off track or made contact with another car, the device responds, it vibrates, haptic feedback kicks in at certain points in the game. So this is something that we've been working on really, really hard over the last few weeks to see if we can implement it for Update 6. We're beginning to roll it out. We're planning to begin to roll it out over selected devices in Update 6, and that begins with high-end iOS devices. And then over time, as we see feedback and performance, we'll aim to bring that onto more devices in the future. So we're really pleased to be able to bring that into the game. It's just, I think of the way we described it, it's a new level of immersion for the game, and especially when you're in tense races and tight action, it adds to the immersion. You can sort of feel your car rolling over the curbs and get a feel for the real edge of the racetrack. So pleased to be able to bring that into the game. Yeah, and it's if you're using high-end iOS devices, keep an eye out for it when Update 6 lands. And if not, like I said, we're looking to bring it as soon as possible. Okay, so one of the other things, as well as I mentioned at the beginning, we want to answer a few community questions. So earlier in the week on our social channels, make sure you follow us, by the way. So it's F1 Mobile Racing on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram. Super easy to find us. We asked for a few community questions as well. So what's the first one we've got here that I've noted down? So on Twitter, I believe it was Mark Banner that asked a question, what work is going on to make race starts and AI penalties fairer? So these are two areas of the game that we're constantly making tweaks and improvements to all of the time. This is something we've been working on ever since launch, and there are other areas of the game that are similar. It's not a case of we make one adjustment or one change and leave it and move on. It's something that we test and we make adjustments to, and then we ask community for feedback and look at our own tests as well and see how things are going. So I know in particular over the last 6 or 7 weeks, the AI penalty system is something that we've been in constant discussions with community, with the team, with testers, all that kind of thing, to improve the situation, where to make sure that fair races are rewarded and races that race unfairly don't hinder the progress of fair races. It's always going to be a not judgmental, it's always going to be a tricky process to always figure out who is responsible for a collision or who should receive penalties or that sort of thing, but we know that we can always make improvements, and we're still doing that all the way through this update into Update 7, and whatever comes beyond that, we'll always make changes to that kind of thing. And that goes for the other mention was race starts as well. So yeah, something we've made a lot of actual progress on over the last few months is when we begin when races begin in sprint race or qualifying with that sort of thing, to make sure that cars are evenly or either equal with each other if they start a sprint race, or within good ground of each other in qualifying, and try and make sure that those gaps are maintained and they're fair. That's something that we've made good progress on recently, and will continue to do so, and that's all based on community feedback. So keep giving us your feedback on social channels, on the Codemasters forums, which is a really, really useful space for us as well, and we'll continue making those changes. So one other question before we keep going through Update 6. this is a Facebook question. Somebody said, will there be a sale on the official cards when Update 6 drops? So one of the things that is coming once Update 6 is live is more regular offers for all of the items in shops. It's going to be a rolling process where one offer comes in and one comes out, but whether it's packs or official cars or official car liveries or whatever it might be that's in the shop, we'll run different offers at different times to give everybody a chance to pick up a deal, pick up a discount where you can, and keep checking back to the shop, keep jumping into the game, and head over to the shop and see what's new, because like I said, we'll regularly bring in offers like that. So yes, so that's a couple of questions, and now let's move on. Let's switch cars. See, if we bring in all the new chassis, we might as well show off a few different ones. So I think let's use the Red Bull. Red Bull looking mighty fine in Update 6. Really does look nice. So let's use the Red Bull for the next race. To keep it with Austria as a bit of a preview for what's to come for the weekend, but let's switch from sprint race to qualifying. Let's do qualifying single lap, increase the difficulty a little bit. Yeah, let's do that. Spielberg, 1 lap qualifying. We actually had a couple questions as well before the live stream asking about setup ideas for the GP events. So this is something we see even more now, that people are regularly taking part in GP events and trying to work their way up the leaderboards. They're asking if we've got any tips in terms of R&D setup to improve the performance of their car. From my own experience, I've been messing about with setups over the last couple of days to prepare myself as well for the GP event. As you would expect with Austria, a lot of it is about power and straight line speed, not just because of the amount of straights in the game, but also the fact that, especially early on in the track, there's a lot of undulation, so you've got to be able to carry that speed up the hill and into the tight corners. So yes, it's about straight line speed as well, so make sure your R&D parts are focused heavily on power and speed, but also the weight of your car as well, so that as you probably know, there's another aspect to the R&D setup that means you can reduce the weight of your car. So if you can do that at the same time as adding power parts, then you're in with a good chance of succeeding this weekend, because those are really the two key areas to focus on. And let's see how we do with this setup. So we're at P2 at the moment, not too bad. Trying to chase down Charles Leclerc's Ghosts. Let's see what we can do. Halfway through the lap, kept it steady in P2 at the moment. Going to need some good driving though to catch up to P1. He's keeping up a fair lick of speed there. Right, there's a good line through there. We're much closer now. Pulled up the hill towards the final 2 turns. We've got good straight line speed there. Here we go. That's what I mean about having a power focused setup. It's really good to see. Right. Oh, I've got a bit early though. Leclerc was much braver than me. Well, I've been braver than him into the final corner. Can I close him down? DRS open? Yes. Just past Leclerc before we head over the line, and that's P1. That was nice. Just a short event. That was very nice, and I think I fared a little bit better than the sprint race. But yeah, that was cool. And in the GP events, in case you haven't tried them yet, so we have a qualifying series that takes place from Friday until Sunday. You can take part anytime over the weekend, beginning from Friday. But once you've completed the qualifying series, you can then enter the race series, which only opens on Sunday. So the qualifying series, as you would expect, is based on that mode. So qualifying, set the best times you possibly can. The quicker times you set, the higher your score, and the higher grid spot you will be come the race series, where you take part in either grid start or sprint races. And again, finish as high as you can, set the quickest times you can. That will improve your score and move you up the leaderboards. Right. Shall we answer a couple more community questions? Right, okay. So, yes, we had another question here about the Austria GP R&D setup. So, as I said, focus on power-focused parts. A good way to, if you haven't got the parts that you need, of course, make sure you jump into some duels, and for every duel that you win, you'll win R&D parts, which you can then research and unlock, and hopefully you'll find some power parts or some weight parts in there. And yeah, that's what you should definitely be focusing on this weekend. Okay, so one other question we've got here, I believe this was from Facebook. This is one we've answered a few times, but definitely want to reiterate it. So somebody was asking, do different cars have different levels of speed, acceleration, or is it the same? So basically asking if you were to grab an official team livery from the shop, or you switch from one to the other, is their speed any different? As we mentioned before on social channels, and I think in streams, definitely on the forums, There is no difference. So as we mentioned in our official FAQs, as we mentioned in the shop, you are purchasing a livery to add onto your car. So yeah, there's no speed difference between the cars. We run tests to make sure that this is the case. Yeah, and that's the clear answer to that question. We always want to be clear and upfront on that. I know that when you do purchase a livery from the shop, you purchase an epic part, so that makes a difference too. But what we've always said is, with F1 Mobile Racing, your speed is purely dictated by your setup, the R&D cards and the setup that you use with those cards, and the driver skill. So whether that's how well you can drive, but that's also based around assists and things like steering sensitivity, stuff like that. It's all about finding your best setup in terms of the R&D and the controls and how you want it feel to drive. That is all that plays a part in car performance. Okay, so let's check we've got everything covered here. So yes, one other thing to mention for update 6, as I think I'll just switch to another car. Maybe let's go Ferrari. I am liking the Ferrari at the moment. The design is pretty sweet. So let's go for the Ferrari for the final race. So one other thing to mention as well, for GP events, we are constantly making sure that the GP events mode is balanced and everything is in the game ready to go. So yesterday we made a quick change to the leaderboard setup, some expected balances changed to make sure that everybody's in the correct tier when the mid-season rewards hit. And by the way, that comes in the summer, the same time as the summer break in the real world season. So that's after the Hungarian Grand Prix, I believe. So we did that yesterday, and in update 6 we'll be adding the mid-season rewards into the game. And one of the rewards for players that finish higher up is the official Neum car livery that was revealed at the start of the season by Formula 1, that was used in that Chemical Brothers video, and we used that music in a few trailers and videos and things like that. So that official car that they used in that music video and for those events will be in the game and will be available to win if you finish, I believe it's in the silver tier or the gold tier at the mid-season point of the GP Events Championship. So make sure you're improving your scores and you're in one of those two tiers to grab that reward. It's a really cool car, but it will be exclusive to those players who finish in the higher two tiers. So make sure you can get it. It's a really cool looking car. Later this week, we're hoping to show a picture of it on our social media channels of it in the game, and it looks really, really cool. You may have seen it in some footage as well for the console game. In both games, it looks really, really cool. We're also adding a race reset option. So what that means is when you are in the race series for a GP event, say this Sunday you're into the race series and you're struggling a bit in the middle of a race series because your grid position is quite low, you now have the option to, instead of restarting the whole GP event, you can just restart the race series. So if you didn't record your best possible score in the first race and it's causing you problems later on, you can then recover from that, use the race reset option, and try and improve your score. So that's another way that we're just trying to help players along and make sure that you have a really good time in GP events, because we see a lot of good feedback, but we want to make it even better. Okay, so let's jump into a race. So we've done qualifying, we've done sprint race, so let's do grid start. Do I keep it on hard mode? I'm going to switch it down to medium. I'm sorry, I know it's a cop-out, I do apologise, but wanted to make sure that I'm not sitting at the back of the grid and we're making something exciting. So, okay, so Spielberg, grid start, 1 lap, medium, let's do it. Okay, so yeah, I think that's pretty much, in terms of new content that you'll see, that pretty much covers it for update 6. In terms of timelines, we hope to get it out this week. That is the plan. Keep an eye on our social channels. Things like this are always subject to change, so we don't like to commit to a date and then have to change it and annoy you guys. So we're aiming for the end of this week, but the social channels will keep you posted. Yeah, just so keep an eye on our Twitter, Facebook, Instagram channels, and that will keep you up to date. Yeah, and of course, alongside the content changes that we've mentioned, we're always making technical and visual improvements. I think, as you can see here, just as we've been doing some races, yet again we've made some further visual improvements to the game, and it is, for a mobile game, it just looks tremendous. It really, really does, especially the liveries. They have so much detail to them now. So yeah, we're glad to be able to always make those visual or technical improvements, and it's all based on community feedback again that we pick up from the forums, from the App Store and the Play Store, from all over the place. So make sure you're always checking us your feedback. Okay, so we made a good start here. We're into P7. Try it. We've come into contact quite a bit of Lando Norris over this stream. Sorry about that, mates. Okay, so got the inside of Norris here, up the inside, kept it together, nice. Right, can we make it into the top 5 before we cross the line? Gasly is our leader at the moment. Bottas is P5. Let's see what we can do. A little bit wide there, but carried a lot of speed. No real way through there though. Again, carry a lot of speed through here. Try and catch him up the hill. Here we go. Nice. Pull out from the slipstream and take P5. Can we grab P4 here as well? Going up the inside. I've done it again, brake a little bit early on. I've made contact. I feel like I went for the right gap there, but it didn't work out. We dropped down to P8, just going to finish behind Ricciardo. A bit of a shame. I thought we were going to finish really high up there, but P8. Okay, I'll lick my wounds and come back stronger for the next race. Okay, so P8, not too bad at all. Okay, so I think that pretty much covers everything. So that's a preview into what's to come in Update 6. We wanted to answer some community questions as well, so we've managed to do that. But still, whenever you've got a question, feel free to ask myself and ask our social channels, and wherever we can respond to, we will respond to, and we always take on feedback and help it drive future updates and content additions. So it all plays a part, so make sure you're giving us your feedback. And yeah, that pretty much covers it. So that's Update 6, and that's, yeah, in terms of our plans for the future, that's not, I think I mentioned this in the blog post recently, that's only the half of it. We've got so much more to come. Update 7 is a thing. We won't go into too much detail about it until after Update 6, and you guys have enjoyed what's to come in that, but we really can't wait to bring even more in future updates through the summer. So keep an eye out for that, because there's some really, really cool stuff coming up that we're now testing and evaluating and making sure it's ready for you guys in the near future. So this is just the beginning, so enjoy Update 6 when it comes out. Keep an eye on our social channels to see when it goes live. Thanks for joining us. I've been Chris, a community manager for the game. And yeah, enjoy Update 6. Cheers. Bye.